Hi. In every market, there's a go-to provider. Normally, that's the big one. The biggest provider is the go-to provider. How do you absolutely dominate your market? The answer is to focus. Let me explain. Don't find a market big enough to flap around in. If you're a small player, you're invisible. So imagine this, you're 6% of the market. At 6%, you're just invisible. Find a market small enough to dominate. Imagine this, you're getting that same 6% you were getting before, but you're now getting it from a slice of the market that is only 10%. In other words, to that 10% slice or segment, you are the 60% provider, evidently the biggest game in town for them. You might be nobody for the 90%, but for that 10%, you're the gorilla. Let me show you two examples of somebody who's flapping around and somebody who's owning their market. So the first company has a market of 5,000 and they're currently serving 200 companies only. They own about 4% of the market. Now the second example is that same company 12 or 24 months later. Let's say that they can still only serve, let's say maybe 300 companies, just a little bit bigger. They've grown by 50%, good on them, but they're getting that growth and their current market focus is all about only 1,000 companies. Those 300 companies from the 1,000 means that they are 30% of that market. I don't know how much market share you need to have in your market to be dominant. In some markets, you can have as little as 10% and clearly be the biggest in town. In other markets, if there's only two providers, let's say, you'd need to have 60% so that the other had 40%. Work out what dominance looks like in your market and find a market small enough to own. And then you have to actually own it. You really need to do that focus. Here's the summary. Don't find a market big enough to paper over your failure to get traction. Find one small enough to own and then own it. But you need to choose your focus really carefully and you need to choose it together so that you do focus. Sales, marketing, finance and ops all need to agree what you're focusing on. And that's the job of funnel plan. Now, if you have a funnel plan already, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, go get one. Go to funnelplan.com and get one there. I hope you got lots of value out of today's show. I had some fun putting it together for you and I've got lots more lined up for next week. Until then, may your funnel be full and always flowing. Our thanks this week to you for watching this week's show, to Elizabeth Pena for blog production, John Ang for video production. My name's Hugh McFarlane and it's been my absolute pleasure to have scripted and presented this week's show.